I'm divorcing you, you fool. My husband shouted over the phone just as I had returned from a business trip. I've put up with you so much until now, but I've reached my breaking point. If you don't want a divorce, apologize now. Understand? Yeah, I got it. But instead of heading to where my husband was, at my in-laws' place, I went somewhere else. My name is Sophie, 28 years old. I married my husband David, who is 2 years my senior, 3 years ago. To put it bluntly, my husband is the son of my company's future CEO. I originally worked for a different company, but after marrying David, I changed jobs. Since then, I've been working hard as an employee at my husband's company, preparing to become the next CEO's wife. He hesitated about me working at the same company, but there was no arguing with an order from the current CEO, his father. My work is demanding, and long business trips are the norm. We've been waiting to have a child, but the environment is just not relaxed enough to allow for a leisurely pregnancy. Lately, the relationship with my husband has been less than stellar. In fact, it's been deteriorating. We're both too busy, and we often end up arguing over trivial matters. Just the other day, my husband yelled at me as I was about to leave for work. Hey, Sophie, why didn't you wake me up at the time I told you? I did wake you up several times, David. You yelled at me not to disturb you and that you'd wake up on your own, so I just went and prepared breakfast. What? I never said anything like that. Stop lying. I'm not lying. I tried to wake you up at least 20 times, and your alarm was blaring the whole time. You can't imagine what's going to happen if I'm late today. I'll get chewed out by my dad again. Why do I have to be the one who gets yelled at when it's his fault for not waking up? I initially tolerated my husband's irrational scolding, but I finally began to push back. Because of this, we had a huge fight recently where he declared, I want a divorce. Since our in-laws intervened, we were saved from such a major incident. Nevertheless, I was increasingly getting fed up with him throwing around the word divorce at every little issue. One day, while I was preparing for a business trip, my husband approached me with a sullen expression. Hey, Sophie, you're off on another trip, huh? Seemingly dissatisfied with my frequent business trips, my husband always derides them as trips. I responded, exasperated. It's not a trip, it's a business trip. Why do you keep making me repeat the same thing? Must be nice always going on trips and neglecting the housework. You're probably just going sightseeing after pushing all the house chores on me, right? Listen, that's enough. This is for your company, you know? Why can't you just accept that it's a business trip? I can't imagine how it's like to be a rookie like you going on a business trip, being so useful. It's pretty much just like a trip. What the hell is wrong with you? Can't you tell the difference between a trip and a business trip? Well, it's the truth, isn't it? You say I'm dumping the house chores on you, but you've never done anything around the house when I'm away on a business trip. When I'm not around, my husband only ever orders takeout, leaves the laundry piled up, and doesn't even take out the garbage. Despite doing nothing, his attitude gives me so much stress. Even the divorce drama last time was all because of his personality. Even though we both work and spend the same amount of time on our jobs, all the housework is left to me. On top of that, he acts all superior and domineering, which I couldn't stand. Trying to discuss it with him is pointless, as he never admits to any fault on his part. Instead, he always turns it around and blames me. As I continued preparing for my business trip in silence, my husband started yelling at me again. For heaven's sakes, the future CEO's wife shouldn't be so casually taking business trips. If you're not firm like me, the other employees will walk all over you. Exactly, because I'm becoming the future CEO's wife, right? I have to learn the job and I need to meet with various clients. That's why I'm working so hard like this. First of all, we can live this good life because I'm the son of the CEO, right? You should listen to me more since it's thanks to me. What are you talking about? The company is doing well because of the employees who work, isn't it? Instead of acting high and mighty just because you're the CEO's son, you should work harder." To such words, my husband's face turned beet red and shouted, "What did you say? What do you mean by work harder?" The other day, I heard the other employees gossiping, you know. They said you always push overtime and bothersome tasks onto others and constantly complain. "What? Who said that? I'll fire them on the spot." That's not the point. How can you not see that you're the one at fault? How can you not understand that you're sullying your father's name? My husband's eyes widened in anger, and he roughly pulled my bangs. "Don't get too full of yourself. After all, who do you think got you this job at this company, huh?" "Ouch! Let go!" "You're able to work at this prestigious company because you married me. Got it? Refuse the business trip. I won't allow you to neglect the home for a business trip." "I've said it many times. It can't be helped. It's for work." "Shut up. Don't talk back. You married me, so you should just quietly listen to what I say." Suddenly, his hand released my hair, causing me to fall back on my butt due to the recoil. If this argument continues, I might lead to another divorce scare. I forcibly drove my ranting husband out of the room and prepared for my business trip. When I return, I'll have to take care of a week's worth of housework piled up by my husband. I bet the floor will be littered with clothes again, and the trash won't be taken out. With that thought, I felt tired even before the business trip. The next day, as planned, I went on the business trip. I performed my duties diligently without mixing personal feelings into my work. When I returned home after a week, the scene I couldn't believe was spread out before me. "I'm home, eh?" As far as the eye could see, the house was spotless, not a speck of dust in sight. It hadn't changed much since the day I left for my business trip. Thank goodness. Finally, David seemed to have understood my feelings. He must have had a change of heart and worked hard on the housework. Just as I started to feel relieved that my husband was finally cooperating, I found the completed divorce papers on the table. "What? What's this?" Next to it was a note saying, "I'm going back to my parents' place. We're getting a divorce." In a panic, I quickly called my husband and he answered promptly. Did you read the divorce papers?" His nonchalant tone provoked me and I fired back. "Wait, are you serious about getting a divorce?" "Obviously. I mean, you'd be in trouble if I divorced you, right?" "Don't just casually talk about divorce." Then my husband said with a smug tone, "If you're going to go that far," and he began to set out conditions. "If you don't neglect the housework and listen to what I say, I might consider withdrawing the divorce, but of course, no more trips." "What? I told you it wasn't a trip." "Are you talking back? If so, I'm divorcing you. You're such a nag." "Nag? A nag, he says? He can't do a single thing around the house himself. If he's up for it, so am I." "Got it. If you don't want to be divorced, come and apologize now. Understand?" Holding back my urge to yell back, I replied calmly, "Okay, I understand." "You should have done what I told you from the start. Now, come quickly." With that, he hung up the phone. Instead of heading to my in-laws' house where my husband was, I left the house to go to the city hall. Of course, to submit the divorce papers. They were accepted without a fuss, and I was officially single again. 3 hours later, while packing up at home, my ex-husband came back with his mother, probably impatient with my no-show. As soon as they saw me, they started hurling insults. "Hey, how long are you going to keep me waiting?" "That's right. You're a failure as a wife, yet you're out having fun. You should be looking after David." "Looking after? How old is David? He's older than me, isn't he?" As I retorted, their brows furrowed in anger. Shut up, stop being stubborn, and apologize quickly. We'll really get a divorce. If you're the one who'll be in trouble if we get divorced, Sophie, you could have been the wife of the next company's president, and you're okay with that attitude? And you, if you divorce me, you won't be able to live in this lavish lifestyle. Are you okay with that? Well, I didn't think you were a good match for David in the first place, so I really don't care. At my loss for words, my ex-husband showed a devilish grin. Got it. This is your last chance. If you don't apologize now, we're getting a divorce. I'll kick you out of the company too. Make up your mind quickly. At that moment, anger surged through me like a fireball. I had to let him know he didn't understand the situation he was in. We're already divorced, you know? What? Just as you wished. I've already submitted the divorce papers and they've been accepted, meaning I'm no longer your wife. What? Her ex-husband and mother-in-law just stood there, mouths agape. After a moment of silence, he finally found his voice. What are you talking about? This is a joke, right? There's no way you'd... Why would I lie? If you don't believe me, why don't you check the records yourself? No way! Suddenly, the mother-in-law who'd been listening started to shout. Wait, Sophie! What have you done? You've put divorce on David's record? Our future CEO? It was your son who handed me the divorce papers first. All I did was submitted them. Stop making excuses. Cancel the divorce immediately. Do you understand? I'm sorry, but once the divorce papers have been accepted, they can't be canceled. Besides, I have no intention of canceling. What? The mother-in-law was at a loss for words, and the ex-husband just hung his head. Ignoring those two, I spat. I've had enough of being ridiculed every time I go on a business trip, having to balance work and housework every day. As far as I'm concerned, you're nothing more than a burden. So, Sophie, calm down. Calm down? I'm perfectly calm. What's the point of being married if it's only a name? All you care about is yourself, isn't it? I didn't mean it like that. You do realize you're losing your place as the CEO's wife, right? Are you okay with that? I didn't transfer to your company because I wanted to become the CEO's wife. I don't know how much you've been pampered, but I didn't marry you to take care of you. Are you really ready to give up this lifestyle? If you'd just be patient a little longer, you'd be the CEO's wife. I absolutely refuse to continue being your caretaker. I'm not your mother. Just go live your life on your own. With the intensity like never before, my husband was completely teary-eyed. His mother-in-law took her turn, stuttering out her final provocation. Wait, Sophie, you don't understand what you're doing. What exactly? If you divorce David, you'll also lose your job. And so what? What? I've already informed your father that I'll be quitting the company. What? The mother-in-law and ex-husband's eyes widened in surprise. To confirm the truth, my ex-husband started calling his father. After a few rings, his father answered and he put the call on speaker. Dad, listen to this. Sophie went and decided to divorce me on her own. Yeah, I heard. She told me she's quitting the company, too. She's so selfish. Can't you fire her immediately with your CEO powers? Well, I guess I should fire someone ASAP. You. Yeah, that's right. Wait, what? In place of the dumbstruck ex-husband, his mother-in-law confronted her husband. What do you mean by that? There's nothing to explain. David's a nuisance who contributes nothing to the company. I'm disappointed in your work ethic. Wait, what? How can you suddenly say that about our son? Keep quiet. The father-in-law strongly rebuked his wife. David, your work performance is poor. You use the company's supplies without permission. You casually make advances to female employees. You complain about the company cafeteria. You're just no good. Do you think I don't know that you're being called incompetent by your subordinates? No, that's not true. It can't be. I can't cover for you any longer, even if you are my son. You understand this, right? Being the boss's son doesn't make the company a sweet ride. But that doesn't mean you have to fire me. The only thing I can commend you for is marrying a capable wife. Sophie will continue to work for the company, but you're fired, David. At his father's words, my ex-husband's eyes widen in shock. Unfazed by his reaction, the father-in-law continued. Unlike you, Sophie is meticulous in her work and brings in a lot of contracts. She's highly regarded by our clients. There are many companies that have contracted with us because of her. Sophie? But she was just assigned to business trips because she's new. Don't be ridiculous. We trusted Sophie, so we sent her on more business trips. You were making fun of her, calling it vacation or something, weren't you? No, I didn't. Let me tell you, there's no home for you to return to until you become independent. Never come back to this house. Got it? No way! And so, my ex-husband was disowned by his father-in-law, lost his job, and couldn't even return to his parents' home. When his mother tried to protect her son, his father told his wife, "It's because you spoil him," and was also given a divorce notice. The two of them used up their savings to start living in an apartment, but they have been unable to find work, and their unemployment continues. I still get messages from my ex-husband. Sophie, I was wrong. I won't make fun of you anymore. I promise to take care of myself, so please come back. I can't take it anymore. Help me. He was so persistent that I finally blocked his number. I shouldn't have to deal with that mama's boy anymore. On the other hand, I'm still working hard under my father-in-law, who is the CEO. Now I have my own subordinates, and I'm spending fulfilling days. It's really good that my father-in-law is an understanding manager. From now on, I want to strive towards my goals without being trapped in meaningless family relationships.